Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and I'm going to try to demonstrate another trade example here if I can get filled on this one. I may be trying to get too greedy here. Yeah, sure looking that way. Here we go. See if we can get filled right here. And what I'm doing is we got this channel working up, and we got an overnight gap up here that I would suspect that we're probably trying to fill. All right, we're long now. Let's see how this trade will work out here. I want to scalp out 9 of these. Somehow I set the trade up wrong. We'll let it go here. We'll just scalp out. Oh well. But again, we got this channel working up. We got the first break here. If you really want to call that a break, you might even be able to draw this channel a little bit lower like so, but I think that's probably it right up through there. So that's really the first chance we've tried to break outside. It wouldn't surprise me if they don't run a little trap here. I might be early on this one. But anyway, we got the channel working down. We broke it and we've been trending up. And this is the first time we really closed outside this trend line. So we should get a retest here. Um, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if they don't trap some people here. I'm not going to give this much room. I'm pretty much done for the day. Had a really good trading day. Um, so I'm not going to give this one a lot of room. If I'm wrong, I'm just going to close it real quick. It did tick lower for just a minute, but we didn't get a close down there, so there's probably some pretty good buying down there. We'll see how this bar ends right here. We had this former support area across here. It's been there earlier in the morning that we broke below, and we've worked ourselves back above it. Now we're coming back to retest it. But we've also got the trend channel here that this was the first kind of pull below it. And I really was looking for this to kind of come below it, to come back and retest this area again. And so it's done exactly what I was expecting. But I really thought we'd take on off out of here afterwards, and we haven't done that yet. So we may try to make another leg down, and if not, and if we do, I'll probably just close this trade. This was a tricky one. I got long right here. I was looking for prices to come back up here, and this is a big channel, so there's plenty of room, and so you can get kind of trends from side to side. So normally you don't want to go long beforehand, but I went long right here, and when we got hung up right here, they shook me out with a tick or so, and it came back down, but I got a chance to re-enter right here, and of course it went right on straight up, and it was a good. Let me get this out of the way. All right. And so they've been able to, this was really iffy right in here, And I was tempted to go short, but I knew we weren't back to where I thought the trend channel line was, and I believe that's pretty much it because we came back and retested it to the exact tick, so that made me feel pretty good that I had it right. And I played with this one a little bit, but basically I just got it off those first few swings and where it touched, and then I copied it and drug it up, and it fit pretty good right there, so I felt like that was it. And this is kind of a range kind of day too, even though this is a somewhat of a down channel. You know, this is rangy looking here. Look how we're on both sides of the EMA, and we finally broke below, and then we came back, and then again we're kind of on both sides of the EMA, and this is real rangy looking right in here too. But we had this overnight gap, and I feel like that's probably where we're headed. You know, gaps don't always get filled, but you got to keep that in mind and be aware that it's up there, and there's a strong possibility that that's where we're headed at a minimum right there. It's almost 1 o'clock, so there's still a little bit of time left in the day. But if they're going to make it in this channel, here we go. This is, all right, now we got a second entry long. And you see I got maybe a tick better, 2 ticks better by being a little more aggressive there. And usually better to wait on the second entry, but sometimes there's a benefit to being more aggressive if you think you're reading the price action right. And I felt like I was there, so we'll see what happens here. I'll go ahead and give myself 2 ticks below the, this is our signal bar really right here, this low right here, so I'm going to give myself 2 ticks below that. I'm not going to give this any more than that, especially now that we've triggered a second entry. But it was a nice setup, so I thought I'd demonstrate another trade and then talk about what we've had so far this morning. And then we'll call it a day. It's Friday. We'll call it a quick day. And generally with the highs being a little bit further up here, I really wanted to scalp out 8 or 9 of these and then have a couple of runners, but I evidently had the wrong strategy set up, so it won't let me change it now. But we're not too worried about that. We'll just, it's Friday. I want to get done here, so we'll just scalp out of this thing in full if we can and collect our money, and then I'll go over the rest of the trades, and I'm going to call it a day and start my weekend. So it's a beautiful day here. It's a little chilly for springtime here, but not a cloud in the sky today. After yesterday, it rained. I don't know what the weather's like where you're at, but it started raining Wednesday night. It started raining at about midnight, and it rained so hard. It rained all the way up till probably 6 o'clock yesterday and never let up one time. I mean, I haven't seen it rain like that in a long, long time. And you see this trade's moving on up here. Need a couple more ticks in our favor to get out. Come on, buyers. You know, I like to, here we go. There we go, and we're out. Got filled that quick. And normally you need a, you know, limit orders, you got to tick through, but when you get filled like that quick, there's a good chance it's going to bust on through there pretty quickly. So, but let's go back and look at the rest of the trades now and see what we got. Just kind of talk about the rest of the day. There was really a long that I liked right here, but I didn't take it. And the reason being was that we were really trending down, and I wasn't sure if we didn't maybe have a trend line like that right there. But even if we did, we already had the break and the new low, and then now we've got a higher high and a higher low. So it still was okay to take it, but I couldn't find any way to make the lower side of this fit really. And so I just wasn't sure. So I didn't know if if either one of those trades were looking back on it now, they're obvious that I should have taken both of those trades, even this one and this one. But you know, it's easy to see after the fact. I was still thinking shorts at this point. And again, even if you've got this right here, it's the first, you got to break and you got to move to a new low, but this is a second, you got a little trap here. Notice this bar, then we broke higher again above it. Let me make it a little bigger where people can see it. And we broke above that bar first and then turned back down, so I went short right there, and it was just enough to scalp out, and then we reversed, and that's when I really wanted to go long right there. But you didn't have much time to think about this when it was gone before you could do much. There really was an entry here, but I don't like the setup. And again, we had two measured legs, so there was a chance you could get a trap. But when we bounced right off that possible line again, you draw the line right here first, and you drag it down, and it fits perfectly right there. So I'm thinking this is probably a channel. And you even got another chance to go long here, but you're back to these resistance areas here, and you're right where, I drew this line, and you bring it up, and you're thinking, okay, well, here's the channel, and we just barely broke above it and got this reversal bar right here. I liked that setup, so you could have gone short right there, but when it turned back up and then turned down, you could have even gone short right there. That's really a little two-legged move there. But the thing is, you got to break above this triple top here, so and you've really had a downtrend, so there's a good chance you're coming back lower again. And again, this is looking more like a trading range at this point, and it's acting like a trading range. The only clue that we were going to go lower here, this lower high and this lower high, unless you found this this trend line. So, but great place to get short right here. And off we go to the races down. I didn't expect it to go down like that. I just figured we'd probably come back down here and test one of these lows and then bounce back up. But hey, this thing took off. And then that's when I realized, this channel's probably right, especially when we came back and tested it again and got another reversal bar right there. It scared me a little bit when the doji ended, but it moved on through. And sometimes you just have to fight through these things. And you see this trade over here still trying to go higher, and you just have to hang on if you don't get out, and it'll usually fight on through it. They try to trick you as much as they can. You see it's still going higher over here. Then another chance to, we tested it again right here. Little bitty doji right off the line. And, you get a chance to get in this with a real small stop because it's only a two-tick. But notice this little congestion that we broke above. And I really didn't like going long above any of these because now the channel is kind of confirmed here. So, and we made a lower high and a lower high. And that's usually a sign that you're going to break out right there. And there was another chance to enter here, but man, that's risky because you don't know that it won't bounce again. And if it bounces enough times down here, it may go higher. And we had this gap, so I was a little afraid of going shorter any lower. You need room to scalp out before you get down to the previous lows. But finally, we went on through and look at it go. It's just working its way lower and lower and lower. And there's really... I'm always telling you to draw those short-term trim lines. Hopefully you can see that right there. We got a little short-term trend channel. And it's working its way down. It overshoots, then we break it, and look at there, a couple of legs down to a new low, and then we reverse out of there. And we were coming off the low. We got a little failed break lower. It's too early to go long here. And then this is not a very good long. This was the first chance you got a chance to go long, and it broke below this bar first and then came up, so that's where I was looking to go long right there. And when it broke above, it just didn't quite, I needed one more tick to get out. I couldn't get out on this one, and then it got hung up in this, and so I exited. I think I exited with 2 ticks, maybe at least a tick. It wasn't break even. It was I exited with some money there, and then it pulls back down and it tests this area again and leaves you a little doji. So another chance to get long right here, and then of course you can draw this line off of those highs right there, and that's how I originally drew it off those closes, and it touched that right there, and I drag it down, and that's where it's bouncing. So I like that spot, and you know, a chance to, you know, this protects your stop. You know, this is that area you're looking at to protect your stop. And look at that one. It got just enough to get that scalp. And now it's backing up. I still wouldn't be surprised if we don't go higher here. They may trap some people, but my guess is we're going to probably still go higher here. We'll see what happens. You definitely don't want to be entering now, though, because it's too much overlap. I don't like that trade at all now. I liked it because I was buying the first bounce, really the first break down here, and it got just enough to get me out and didn't get one tick more. So at least it hadn't yet. And my guess is we'll continue working on higher, at least to go back and test this high, make a new high. But my guess is we're probably going to continue to work up the rest of the day. We'll just have to see what happens. We could turn down from here and make another leg down for all I know. But you want to wait and follow the price action. Don't be trading on what I'm guessing at there based on just, you know, what I see at this point. So, because it could change at any minute. But anyway, you got this channel down the break, and this was a second entry short, and you figure we're going for the retest. There's enough room down here. It took this one a little bit of work to get your scalp, and it continued on lower, and then it bounced. And like I said, this was the first chance I saw to possibly go long. You know, you're looking for prices to come back up here, and I got shook out, but another chance. This is a failed second entry short right here that turns into a, and it's also a second entry long. Look, one leg back, pull back, second leg back. So that's a second entry long, counting off that high. There's still plenty of room to get out before you get back up here. And, of course, it just keeps on going. Any runners were safe on that one. That's the thing. Runners were safe here, here. All three of those you had runners on. Right here you could have gotten a couple of points. Any runners are still safe going here. And this did pull back here. So we were lucky to get out of that before it turned back down. But it wouldn't surprise me if we don't get a better second entry long here either, but it wouldn't surprise me if we make another leg back right here, because we do have the break of this bigger channel. But the way I've been looking at it, assuming that this was your break way up here and that we've already had new lows, so that's what I was working off with this channel. I really thought this channel would keep working higher, but maybe it won't. Maybe I'm wrong. And this is the real first break, and now we're heading lower. So now you got a second entry short. Yeah, definitely wouldn't surprise me if we don't make another leg down now. So I was lucky to get out of that trade, real lucky. But this is a strong support area, so it doesn't surprise me that we're retesting, and it could hold. So you don't want to be going short right here either, in my opinion. We just have to kind of wait and see what happens there. I'm real curious as to how that's going to work out. But then you got another second entry long. You pull back, first entry, pull back, second entry, easy move, breakout, pull back long that bounces right off the trend line again. Another great move up. And it's just been a really good trading day. It was a little bit tricky finding the original channel because we overshot it here and we overshot it there, so it makes it a little tricky. But I originally found this trend channel by finding it off these lows and then dragging it up, and you know, and that's exactly where we turned this morning. But you didn't need this line to find this trade because you got a triple top here, and you know what happens when you break above resistance normally the first time. It's going to pull back or turn back and snap back, and you don't know that it's going to take off like this, but you know you'll probably get a scalp out of it. And then we come back up, and we make a lower high with a nice reversal bar. And you might have waited on the second entry here. This actually is a second entry, counting off this new high. First entry down, pull back, second entry down on a bigger picture. And, you know, that'll confuse a million people, I know. But there's different. If I went to I'm looking at a 5,000 tick chart, but if I went to I'm looking at a 2,000 tick chart, but let's say I went to a 4,000, you wouldn't see all these other little tiny one tick breaks. You'd just see one move down, a pull back, and then a second move that started down. So hopefully that makes sense. And so, you know, price action works on any on any chart and any time level. So there's other time levels going on here. And so then people will ask me, hey, should I look at a smaller chart and a larger chart? No, you can learn to see it all on one chart. So don't confuse what I'm saying there, because I know sometimes people will take anything I say and turn it into something else. And you see we got a little trap trying to work here to the downside. We'll see if we'll go higher here. I'll be shocked if we don't get a retest of this high, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, don't confuse what I'm saying there. I don't want you to go look at any other chart. You can learn to see everything on one chart. There's no need for multiple charts. There's no need to look at yesterday's price action, unless the only time you want to look at yesterday's price action is this was like right in here. Notice that at this point right here, there's no more lows down here today. So we get, in order to find the next support or resistance, and let's just drag our line down here. So you can see and notice that's where the next, actually I take that back, that's where the last resistance was, and we never had tested that. So we've come back to test it. Okay, I'm sorry I got interrupted there, but notice that we never came back and tested that breakout area, and then that's exactly where we bounced today. You can see that right there. And we're going higher, and it looks like we may have a trap. I'm still expecting this thing to go higher here. And this is a good example of why I like to give this thing 2 ticks below. Remember this was the low earlier, and I moved my stop up to 2 ticks below that at one point. And this is a good example because it's amazing how many times you'll get a 1 tick trap and then it reverses and goes right where you think it is. All they do is they stop everybody out. They trick everybody in short. They stop them out. And they could be trying to trick people long at this point, but you don't want to get stopped out on, on a little stop run, a 1 tick stop run. So I generally like to have 2 ticks below the signal bar, and that'll save you from things like this right here, getting stopped out on a little stop run before they take it higher. So anyway, that was pretty much it for today, but you could have made plenty on just about every one of these trades. And again, I'm going to draw this one right here. I meant to just make this one green. If you saw that, because notice it is a second entry long. You pull back first entry, pull back second entry. So look, I've been kicking myself. I keep looking at that trade all day and thinking missed a great opportunity there. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it in green. If you saw it, it's aggressive because it's really not even counter trend, because if you saw that trend line, you had the break and the move to a new low, and it really was probably more like that right there. And so if you saw it, you had the break, and but it turns out there's a bigger channel, but you weren't exactly sure of that, because this could have even been right across here at that time, but you just see it just doesn't really fit anything. Actually, you might, yeah, I wouldn't say that doesn't fit anything. Maybe it does. But really the high is up here, so. But anyway, I believe this is the legitimate channel, and I believe now we got a second entry long there. Let's see if this thing doesn't go higher with that one little trap down there. They got them trapped. They trapped the shorts out, or the longs out. Everybody that got long in here that didn't scalp out like me just got probably trapped out. If they had a 1 tick stop, they got trapped out, and I guarantee you a whole bunch of shorts got trapped in right there because they're not paying attention to that previous support line that was acting as resistance, and now we're back up above it, and it's kind of acting as support now. Will it go higher? I can't say, but my guess is we're going to make a new high before this is over. Now, they may trap people here and take it back down, but my guess is we're going to go higher here. And you can see how flat the little EMA is right there. So, this is really choppy and a lot of overlapping bars, and so anything could happen, but they trapped them out the top. Now they've trapped them out the bottom. And so my guess is we go higher. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to hang around with this video. We're 25 minutes at this point. So really good trading day. gave you another chance to see another example. It wasn't the best trade, but hey, it's another scalp and it works. And that's a good, what you could use this trade for is a great example of why we scalp out. Because if I had still held on this trade, our entry was right here at, where did I enter? I can't remember. I think I dropped a limit order in there. So I think I entered at 81.25. So this thing would be against us a tick or so and would have went against us a whole point here. At one point if we hadn't have scalped out, and it could turn down and go lower. So, you know, this is a good example of why I usually scalp out a portion of my trade. Normally I would like to have some runners, and I probably would have given that runner my usual 2 ticks here. I don't know if I'd have moved it to break even. I might have with that overlap. Excuse me. But I really expect this thing to go higher, so you like to hang on to a runner to get the rest of that move. So this is a good example of why you hold on to runners and you scalp out, because sometimes you get fooled, or sometimes you're early, and you know there's a benefit of being early on the first entry, but it's much more aggressive and it fails more often than it does when you wait for a second entry. And this really is a little two-legged pullback, and then on a bigger picture, this is a failed second entry long, so I like the bigger picture much better than the little micro 2 swing right there. So I would call that a second entry long right there after a trap. But you can see they're struggling to go higher right here. So they could take it down still. They might have trapped people they might be just running the stops on both sides, trying to work through this previous support and get back through it again. So you just never know. But with all that chop right there, if I wasn't in this trade already, I'd just sit tight. I wouldn't enter. I wouldn't do anything. I'd wait for a more clear picture of what's going to happen, because it was just like right here. This wasn't clear. I wanted to go short out of that, but it's not clear what's going to happen there. And so by being patient, you get a nice long, and you couldn't ignore that trend channel that you possibly had coming up through there. So if anytime you're not sure what's going on, you're better off to sit tight, because you don't want to be guessing, because then you're just gambling. And we don't want to gamble as traders. We want to know that the odds are on our side when we enter. And I don't know any way to say it any plainer than that. So I'm going to wrap it up, though. I hope everybody had a great week. I hope you have a great weekend. And we'll be back to do it next week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.